So I just wanted to start off with a review of the winter blues. It comes in many forms. We've heard it in its extreme. Oftentimes you hear the term SAD, seasonal affectiveness disorder, but that's more of, the extreme version or depression and some sort with the change in season. Here we're going to sort of discuss what I'm calling the winter blues, just in general. Even the most positive people can be affected in the winter months. We have shorter days, the temperature gets to be negative, whatever it was this past weekend here in New Jersey. A lot more time indoors, so you sort of feel that little cabin fever cooped up. In my area, we had 15 plus inches of snow, so we didn't go anywhere for a couple of days, which often I love the snow. However, sometimes it can feel a little restricting. So you have to sort of balance that. Often in the winter in general, aside from the times we're experiencing right now with COVID, but often in general, we tend to have a little less social interaction because we're not doing a lot of those outdoor get-togethers and activities that we would just when it's a nice sunny warmer day. We sort of regulate what we're doing when we're seeing people as outside of the holiday season, and you don't have that same personal connection. I realize the last couple of years, a lot of us have tried with, whether it be FaceTiming or Zooming and trying to have more, face to face, but not in person type of programs, or just conversations with relatives. And we've seen those, playing games together, having the same game. If they couldn't be together in person, they have it set up that they're able to play a game in that way. But this indoor activity sometimes isn't quite what we're looking for. So we're going to go over some strategies and some ways that we can improve those winter blues. We tend to crave a lot of the unhealthy foods come the winter. That's sort of a, natural instinct, sort of that hibernation type of thing. But in the past, actually, Joanne and I have done a presentation also how we can have those comforting foods, but have the healthier version so that you don't feel that it's the unhealthy aspect of the food. And then when you're getting the nutrition that comes along with it, it makes you feel better. It does improve your mood. So also, making sure we're moving more, we tend to be less active come the winter. And different aspects we'll go over, and how to create just a happier atmosphere so that we can have a bit more positivity in our day to beat those winter blues. So we want to perk up your palate. Sometimes we might wake up and it's very dull and dreary outside. You see, maybe some people don't love the snow like I do, but you see it coming in, and it sort of gets a little stressful and anxious because you have to make sure you have, gas in the car, you've got food in the house. I always laugh because, the general rule is make sure you have milk, bread, and eggs. And I always say, what is everybody making French toast? I don't know what you do with all of that all the time. But, it's great to make sure you have staple items too in the house. But laughter really is where we want to make sure that we perk up our palate, because laughter is medicine. Laughter being the best medicine, it really does cause a chemical reaction in our brain to help us just generally feel a little bit lighter, a little happier, and improve your mood. It also has other physical benefits as well by lowering your blood pressure. I mean, you might feel a little intense if it's a very active laughter. If you're, having a wonderful conversation and your whole body is involved, you sort of tense up, but in a good way. Sometimes that stress isn't a bad stress. It's a healthy stress, and your body reacts to that. So although, it may feel as if you're tense, you're actually lowering your blood pressure. You're helping, your body sort of relax in a very different sense. It may increase your heart rate so that you don't feel so sluggish. Oftentimes when our heart rate gets really low, we tend to kind of have a very quiet aspect of ourselves, which can be very good for, the day, depending on what it is. But sometimes you need a little bit of energy to just get your day going as well. Laughter can help lower your blood sugar. It can help oxygen better, get to the brain so that you have more deep thoughts, you're able to function properly, and your focus is on key as well. Laughter also can help boost your immune system by having a very sort of dull or saddened type of attitude about things, it does lower your immune system too. So as much as, we've all heard the saying, the mind is a powerful thing. It is, it truly is. We can do things to help our bodies get healthier and then in turn help our system stay healthier as well. And everything plays on to one another. So if your brain is happy and you're laughing and your body is happy, your brain will then help your circulatory system, your, respiratory rate, your immune system, everything will start to improve as well. Obviously, laughter is a natural antidepressant because how can you be sad if you're laughing? And then having just burning calories or, having that abdominal muscles, it's actually an exercise that you can, sort of create some activities. And if you haven't seen it yet, go to our YouTube page and do watch the laughter program that Joanne has done for us and follow along and participate. And you'll feel really good at the end of that as well. So some tips for longevity. We all want to live as long as we possibly can, right? I mean, we're generally, as a human race, we're living longer these days anyway. And if you do, it's nice to just have a healthy, good quality of life when doing so. So having, again, that social interaction with your family and friends is also key. Having a support mechanism, if you are one who might need a little extra help, have someone, there, even if it's a friend, a neighbor, if your family lives far or you don't happen to have family around you, then having that support and having those conversations, having the little maybe get-togethers for lunch if you can, or just a Zoom or a call on the phone, FaceTime, something that's important. Making sure we're moving throughout the day. It doesn't have to be strenuous exercise. You don't have to get up and run the treadmill for 45 minutes and think, you're not doing it if you're not sweating and out of breath. Just moving. About once every hour, get up and move. Sometimes if we're sitting around too long, our bodies actually create a stiffness and you feel it when you stand up. All of a sudden you have to kind of stretch your back, roll your shoulders, sort of move things around because you've sat too long and your body doesn't like that. We're not made for that. Our bodies are very primitive in that way. We are made to move. So it is important to get up and move every couple of, every hour for a couple of minutes, because it helps our systems, again, keep in check. You want your circulatory system going. You don't want things to be stagnant. In life, most things that are stagnant are probably not great. You want things to be fluid and keep moving and have a dynamic, atmosphere to them so that they can keep your bodies stay healthy. If you're having those chats and conversations with your friends or family, reminisce about the good old days. We all have them. There's been a time in our lives that have been just wonderful and great memories. And that just brings happiness. And again, that perky pout we're talking about, we want to make sure that we're giving those good chemicals in our brain a little chance to work. So it's really important to make sure we're able to do that as well. Try to eat healthier foods. Even if you're eating the healthiest diet, that's wonderful. And I applaud you for that. But we all have those days. We don't all always eat healthy, no matter what. And having a green food is often one of the least favorites. The green foods, most people don't love green foods, but having a green food actually also gives you a different group of nutrients that you need as well to help your bodies live a little longer and stay a little healthier in the process. In the last slide, I mentioned that our days get shorter. And when that happens, we have less opportunity to be out in the sun and maybe be out in nature, because especially here in February 1st, it's quite chilly outside. But if you bundle up and you cover your hands, any skin, that if it's way too cold, then I caution you. However, if it's, in the 30s, 40s, if you're bundling up with a scarf and hat and gloves, and you could just get outside for a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes a day to get some of that sunshine, your body naturally creates vitamin D. Again, another, nutrient that we need to live longer, have those brain chemicals work to the best of their ability, and have our bodies use the calcium we even have to help strengthen our bones. Having a colorful diet in general is important. The more colors you have, the more nutrients and vitamins you'll have, the more antioxidants, the more phytochemicals. Those all ward off different illnesses and even particularly some cancers. Having more, fish in your diet and having the omega-3s is very good for your brain as well. So it's important to make sure that our diets are comprised of many different foods and many different options within those food categories so that we're not sticking to just one thing. Again, anything that's static is not always necessarily the best. So don't eat the same foods all the time. Have a little bit of a variety. And even if it's just changing up one thing, that will help as well. Try, if you can, to eat your heaviest meal at lunchtime, because if you think about it, breakfast is our breaking of the fast. So we break the fast that we've had throughout the evening hours while we're sleeping. When you have a very heavy meal in the evening hours as your dinner, which we all do many times, if it's really heavy, your body just kind of is sort of sluggish and has less time to really process and use that energy. We eat to use the energy. That is why we need to eat. We need it for our, consumption of calories in order to have the fuel in which we need to live. So I always use it when I see my young audiences, you can't put Coca-Cola in a car and expect the car to run properly. It doesn't work that way. So it needs the proper fuel. We too need the proper fuel. Although we have many options for fuel, having a heavy meal might be the proper foods, but if your body doesn't use it, you sometimes might feel a little sluggish, indigestion throughout the night. You might even get indigestion if your body doesn't digest it fast enough. So it's really great if you can have that heavier meal or the larger meal throughout the day during your lunchtime or sometime midday, because then your body will use those calories. Your body will use the energy that is now created from that, and you'll be able to focus on maybe a task you were working on, or different things you need to get done throughout the day, and you'll feel better about that as well. And it will actually help you sleep better at night. So as much as sometimes the thought process is, well, a heavy meal, you'll sleep fine. Sometimes, I guess, in some ways that helps, but your body didn't process those calories the same because you're just sort of sleeping, you're just laying around. Whereas if you have that heavier, larger meal at lunchtime, you're using those calories, your body is sort of energetic. It will say, oof, it's time to rest. It's time to kind of relax. I've used all my energy. So that's how you'll have a nicer restful night's sleep as well. So centenarians, those that live to be 100 years old, that is wonderful. And, we might all hope one day we can get there, but I, for one, am just hoping I can get as many years as I can. But I'm going to follow some of these suggestions as I was doing this research about our centenarians in the world and how they sort of follow, different aspects and what they do in their lives to get to those great ages of 100 and beyond. Really, one of the key things was to keep busy and moving. So recommending walking. It doesn't have to be, a strenuous exercise or lifting weights or something like that. And it doesn't even have to be the same amount of time all at once. It can be 10-minute walk in the morning, maybe a 20-minute walk after lunch. Maybe you want to take the dog for a walk in the evening. And as long as the total is an hour a day, that really was the recommendation to get that movement in as well. The more you walk, the better you'll feel. Your body will feel loose. You won't have that, again, I'm going to keep you saying the word, that like stagnant, static, sort of stressed muscles. Your body will help you feel better as well. Riding a stationary bike if you need to. And honestly, even housework counts as movement. Moving our body, catching up, stretching up to get something and clean, or, bending down with the vacuum, or, getting behind the couch, whatever you have to do. That's actually all muscle movement, and it's helping your body stay loose and limber. Another thing I found with centenarians was to focus on the healthier diet. We say this time and time again. But when I say that, I also say they focused on a plant-based diet with added fish. As Americans, we tend to not really eat enough fish throughout our weekly daily intake. However, it is really important to make sure that we're getting some. We have here in New Jersey, we have a great, wonderful ocean close by that we're able to get many options for different fish, anything from shellfish to finfish, and the seafood is abundant here, even in the winter months. I feel like fish tends to be something you look for in the summer, but that doesn't mean that it's not available, because there's many fishermen that go out throughout the year, and you can go to any of your local fishmongers and find any of the healthier fish. Using grains as sort of a bed in your base of protein. So if you have a plate of food, about half your plate should be fruits and vegetables. So you're getting those nutrients and the antioxidants and the phytochemicals. Then the other half should be grains and protein. So your protein should be about, maybe roughly 3 ounces, whether it be some type of meat or fish. And, generally speaking, let's say chicken, 3 ounces is roughly the size of a deck of cards. So, about, that same thickness and about that square deck of cards. So fish, again, it's similar to that. If it's a thicker fish, if it's a light, flaky fish, it would be maybe more like a little longer, like a checkbook. And that would be about 3 ounces. So we're hoping for at least 3 ounces each time we're eating our fish or any meat at that point. We don't want to go over on our protein. However, we want to make sure it's well balanced and have our whole grains as well. Having said that, eating less meat, meaning more fish, less red meats, and having less sugar in our diet as well. Sugar really doesn't provide us any nutrients we need. It is often occurring naturally in some of our foods. Some of our fruits and vegetables have natural sugars in them, which are fine, but we don't want to have any added sugars. A lot of the beverages have added sugars. A lot of the dessert items, or even sometimes now some of the food items, call for recipes that have sugar added to them. So if you do have something that calls for sugar, I would suggest maybe using honey. Honey actually is 25% sweeter than sugar, so you can actually use less if you need it in the recipe. And seeing how you can make that alteration might be a good way to approach less sugar as well. Drinking more water. We all drink water, I'm sure, but sometimes in the winter months, I find myself, I'm just not thirsty for water. I want to drink tea, which is great as long as it's decaf. Caffeinated tea is fine once in a while too. That's not terrible, but having too much caffeine can also cause a dehydration effect where it becomes a diuretic. So you want to make sure you're replenishing yourself with water and having as much, possible less sugar types of beverages, because why waste your calories on the drinks? And incorporating water. Hydration is so important that it can affect many systems. And until you go through that, and hopefully you never do, but if you go through the process of dehydration and not really realizing that there is, that problem, it can affect your heart, it can affect your speech, it can affect your brain and how you're thinking, it can affect your body movement and how you just feel sluggish and you don't want to get up and do anything, which I feel then snowballs into, well, now I just don't really feel like eating because, I just have no energy to get up and make anything. And, well, I'm just too cold. I don't want to drink cold water. And, it becomes this sort of snowball effect that when you're dehydrated, it affects so many different things in our body that is important to make sure we stay hydrated. Speaking of which, so some health tips. Again, in much of our research, health and happiness go hand in hand. Often, many more people have shown that if they are healthier, they don't have to be optimal health, but if they are healthier or on the path to a happier health, they show optimism and happiness in their life. So research has shown that the happiest people tend to live 8 years longer than the saddest people. The mind is a powerful thing. So having that happiness in your life, whatever it is, even if it's a, hobby you love, have it, do it, enjoy it, because that small little bits of happiness will build up, and that creates that longevity and that health that we're looking for. Having made sure you have enough hours of sleep in your night each night. Some of us don't need as much, but studies have shown 6 hours or less, people tend to be less happy. If you're somebody who needs less sleep and you still find yourself happy, well, then that is okay. But for the general public, we say 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep per night is really what's important. So your brain gets the proper rest, your body gets the proper rest, your muscles can relax. And then in the mornings, I would really suggest doing some stretching, because, some of us, and I've done it, I tend to sleep a little bit, with my hands and sort of my shoulders sort of up and kind of crouched. So if I don't get up in the morning and sort of stretch all those muscles and relax, I feel a little bit more tense throughout the day as well. And that doesn't really bode well to have a very productive day, because you just sort of feel throughout the day. But having a little bit of that, relaxation in the morning, even if it's only 2 minutes, it doesn't take very long to just stretch all of your muscles and relax them and just kind of get up and do some movement. Doesn't have to be anything strenuous. It doesn't have to be, yoga in the morning if that's not what you can handle. Just do what you can handle. Do what your body says can, work with you for the day. Also, keeping a food journal is very important as well, and can help sort of process where we're at when it comes to our health and our foods. Importantly, fruits and vegetables. We'd really like to see at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And sometimes that's hard to get. You think about it in the morning, and it's easy for me to say, okay, we'll have oatmeal with maybe, a handful of blueberries on top of your oatmeal. And then around 11 o'clock, you need a snack. So cut up an apple and have an apple maybe with some peanut butter. And then for lunch, I had a spinach salad with some chicken on it. So that's some vegetables there. And then for dinner, I'm going to have rice and chicken and maybe some broccoli. But if I counted all that up, that might not be 5 servings. That might only be 3 or 4, because even though I had different things, it may not be a full serving if I didn't have enough blueberries on my oatmeal and I put like 4. So it's really important to make sure we're having enough fruits and vegetables, and the fiber that's provided in our fruits and vegetables will help us feel full longer. So we won't have that need to get up and have an unhealthy snack, or the cravings for some of the carbs that we often crave, and the sugars that we just need to have when we're not having the healthier diet. So it's important, if you're finding yourself to be along those lines, to maybe have a food journal that you're able to keep tips, whether it physically be paper and pen or on phones. These days, you can keep track of things. There's many apps on phones or in computers where you can sort of just keep a tally of each day. And then I challenge you to pay attention to how your mood and your, happiness is affected maybe that day or the next. You tend to feel happier and lighter if you're having healthier meals. The good old Thanksgiving meal, everybody gets so tired afterwards and they blame it on the tryptophan, which could very well be. However, we also are eating, heavy potatoes and heavy, cornbread stuffing, and whatever we're eating tends to be heavier carb loaded foods, that if you eat some of the healthier options, maybe make a green on that day, and not necessarily, the whatever heavy green bean casserole some recipes call for, lots of cream and things like that. Maybe making a lighter version of it will help you feel lighter and be happier throughout the day as well. So our exercise and our mental health is also very important. So we know exercise is good for our bodies and our health in general. We know that. However, it's actually a chemical balance that is created in our brains. So as we exercise and we get moving, there's endorphins released, there's stress relieving hormones, it increases our serotonin level in our brains, and these are all your happy hormones. So all of these that come into play while we're exercising, and they sort of stay around afterwards, you have that good feeling. You're done exercising, and it might, if it's a rigorous exercise, you're going to feel like, whew, can't wait till this is done. If it's just a nice general walk, you still get all those same endorphins and stress relieving hormones going on in your body. So it helps improve your mood and your mental health. So staying active on a regular basis, depending on your capability and what you can handle for your body. You could be sitting in a chair. If you can't get up and walk, you could do arm exercises. You can get 2 cans of soup and do some movements. You can do, just different stretches and things in the chair. You can lift your legs and leg lifts if you're not able to walk around. There's plenty of things you can do if you're not able to do some of the more vigorous activity. It all depends on you and what your body can handle. All of this activity also helps our sense of control. You tend to have a control about our lives, and things get a little chaotic, as they do in life, and we end up getting stressed. And whether it's the good stress, like I mentioned earlier, about having that activity and our body sort of gets a little tense and laughter and stress, there's also the bad stresses where we sort of break down and have to really kind of refocus on how to handle that stress. Having exercise in our lives and a daily routine will help relieve that stress and help you sort of better focus on how you can go about your day in that regard. So our outdoors, the great outdoors, have a a lot to offer. I realize right now it is very frigidly cold. However, bundle up, as I mentioned earlier, get outside and soak up that sun. Just 15 to 30 minutes a day. Again, it doesn't have to be consecutive minutes. It can be 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Maybe, on the day that you're outside, sort of sit in silence. Just be present. Just listen. Don't have your phone with you, or if you do, just have it off. Don't have another task in mind. Be present in that moment and focus on what's around you. Listen to the sounds, listen to, the birds chirping, listen to the cars going by wherever you may live, listen to the water that you might hear. If it's, just sort of the sights that you see, and maybe even if you can't get outside, if you can enjoy nature from the inside, open the window, look outside, watch the sunrise, watch the sunset, kind of enjoy what is around you. That is a natural endorphin and happy boosting energy that you will receive just from being one with nature. It sounds a little cliche. However, it has many, many, many healthy aspects and being quite effective. Observing nature, just observing, can actually lower your blood pressure, improve your mood, calm your brain, and reduce your fatigue. You'll feel re-energized if you get outside just for a few minutes. We have a couple breaks at work. We tend to walk around our parking lot, bundle up with our coats and our hats, and put on our sneakers and just take a little walk, 10-minute walk. And that helps sort of refocus the brain and kind of come back refreshed. So whatever you're doing in life, even if you're home for the day and it's chilly and you don't want to go out, that's fine. Just sort of observe nature, sort of sit by the window, be present, listen, see what's happening outside, and go about your day in that regard, and you will feel better. It's all about finding balance. Living quietly with less worry can help improve your life. So we all want that, don't we? We don't want to be stressed. We don't want to be chaotic. We don't want to have that sense of urgency about us all the time. It does happen and it does come up, and there might be days that it happens more often than we'd like. However, if we can focus on trying to have that calmness and have a little less worry in our lives, there's some things we can't control. All we can control is how we react to situations. So if we can control our calmness, it will help us focus on whatever the situation might need in that moment. Eating a healthy, balanced diet with healthy brain foods like nuts, walnuts, almonds, all of those types of nuts. A handful of nuts as a snack is a wonderful snack. It gives you a lot of omega-3s for your brain. Having cold water fatty fishes like tuna and salmon in our diet gives you a lot of the omega-3s as well, and that fat that comes from the fish is a healthy fat, so it helps build your brain, and a lot of other systems in your body use those nutrients to keep you healthy as well. As I keep mentioning, colorful fruits and vegetables, that's very important as well. If you try to eat something, from every color of the rainbow, that's wonderful. But I also, as I mentioned, challenge you to not eat the same food. If you love broccoli, don't only eat broccoli. Try to incorporate spinach or Brussels sprouts or something along those lines. Keep up on the hobbies you enjoy. If you love, knitting, or you love, needlepoint, or coloring, or something along those lines. I love hands-on work. I sometimes find projects in my house where something needs to be painted, or woodworking or something. Do those things. Have a hobby that really brings you joy, and focus on time for it, because a lot of the times we sort of put aside our hobbies and don't really focus on the fact that that's actually self-care for yourself. Using that time to focus on the hobby gives you joy, and the joy is what's going to bring you better health. So finding what energizes you and focus on that is really important as well. And slow down, maybe if you need to, with a good book, a friendly conversation, just have quiet as well. It's important to not always be, rushed and doing things like, having a set schedule, and I have to get this done, I have to get that done, I have to get, sometimes you just need time to sit. And maybe it's reading, maybe it's not, maybe it's just being quiet in yourself. Sometimes it's just, zoning out and looking out the window, whatever it is, find that thing for you and incorporate it into your day. Find ways to slow down your daily pace, and you'll find that that balance will come naturally. So at this point, I'm going to hand things over to Joanne. We're going to do a little bit with our breath and motion.
Okay, so now let's kind of get ourselves moving a little bit and practice some very simple breathing exercises and a little bit of physical movement that we can incorporate in our day to help to beat those winter blues. So first, let's talk about breath and motion. Your breath and how you're breathing and your movement really go very much hand in hand. And once you try this, you'll really get the feel for it and be able to practice this on your own. So let's look at the the graphic to the far left. As we start this, we're going to try to get our breathing and our body movement and our mind all in the same place. Now, it doesn't happen like magic, but once you start practicing this and doing it, trying it once in a while, you'll feel like you have a better grip on it and how to calm yourself, how to motivate yourself, how to refocus your energy and your mind for whatever is coming next in your day. So let's practice it. Now, the word practice means it's not perfect right off the bat. It means it's going to take some time. It may take the rest of your life, actually, but that's okay. So let's look at that graphic to the left. And if you can sit in a place where you're comfortable and not going to hit into anything or anybody, you can be sitting in a chair, you could be standing, it really doesn't matter. And we're going to have our arms out to our side, like in a T formation. And then we're going to bring them way up over our head. And maybe your hands come together and maybe not. Either way is fine. And then our hands are going to come down. Okay, so let's just try that together. Don't think about your breathing first. Just bring your arms all the way up very slowly. Hands way up high, and then let's bring them down very, very slowly. Okay, that's easy, right? Now we're going to breathe with that. So we're going to inhale and do this with me. Inhale, on arms are coming up. And then we're going to exhale as our hands and arms are coming down. So let's try that again 3 times. Ready? Bring your arms up, inhale. And exhale. Breathing and inhaling through our nose, exhaling through our mouth. So let's inhale, exhale. One more time. It's really simple. Inhale, exhale. Okay, that's really easy. So if you feel like you've worked a little bit, maybe a little bit of shoulder roll may help you kind of relax for the second. So let's try the picture, which looks like it's to the far right. And in this place, both of your arms are out in front of you. And we're going to inhale as we bring one arm up and the other down, and then exhale as we change places. You ready? So let's inhale through your nose and exhale. Let's do it again. Inhale and exhale. One more time. Inhale and exhale. Okay, your movement is whatever movement you can do. If your arms can't go all the way up, fine, no problem. If your arms can't go all the way out to the side, fine, no problem. Just do it to your ability, these simple kinds of movements with your breath. So if you want to try one more, you would sit with your hands are together, and your inhale is your hands come up together, and then your exhale, hands come down right to the midpoint. So try that with me. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, that's so easy, right? So let's set a plan. Let's practice this. Maybe you're going to try it a few times a day. Maybe you'll think about it when you're stressed, or maybe you'll think about it when you just need a little bolt of energy to get yourself moving. Okay, let's go to the next slide. As you start to do this balance in your body between your breath, your movement, and your mind, you'll find that you're going to feel a little bit better about yourself. It actually brings on a really nice feeling of being calm and content and in control, because it's your brain and your mind and your body and your breath. So the way this works for you may be different from the way it works for me or somebody else, but whatever works for you is what I want you to be able to practice. It will help you feel better. There also comes with this balance and this sense of calmness is an ability to deal with stress a little bit better. We all need that, right? Even on the greatest of days, we all have some stress. It helps us to understand how to control our stress and how to convey gratitude and compassion to other people. So this is really about loving kindness. And it means, the way we are treating ourselves and we want to be treated is the way we treat other people. So as we feel good about ourselves, we can feel a lot better about our relationships around us with other people, people we know, maybe people we don't know. So for you, you may just say, okay, well, I'm going to find a program online that I can do where I can practice some breathing. Maybe you'll look at a book about it. Maybe you'll go to a class, whatever it takes for you to do this practice, because that's what we want you to do. We want you to just kind of learn how to calm down and control a little bit better. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So practicing breathing is not something that's very formal. We can do it sitting here in a webinar. We can do it by ourselves. We can do it whether with other people or not. And maybe sometimes they don't even know that you're practicing some kind of breathing. Breathing is yours. You own it. So you know what to do. So let's think about sitting just very calmly for a minute. Hands on your lap if that's comfortable for you. If it's not, maybe your arms are at your side. It doesn't matter. It's whatever works for you. And I want you to, if you can, close your eyes or lower your gaze, because that will help you tune out environment and what's around you for the minute. And just breathe. Nothing special. Just breathe. This is your normal breathing. And as soon as you pay attention to your breathing, you'll probably think you want to change it, but you don't have to. Pay attention to your breathing. How does it feel? You can feel air moving in through your nostrils. Usually when you're paying attention to your breathing, you're also able to hear the sounds around you. That's okay. Okay, this is your normal breathing, and that's just fine, whatever it is. So on the next slide, we're going to talk about how to control your breathing. Oops, the one after that. But first, let's make sure we understand that breathing is something we do many, many times a day. It's an involuntary kind of reaction in our bodies. But we can also use breathing to help us to control our ability to deal with stress, to bring us to some calmness and tranquility. And it also helps us to maintain good health. So be kind to yourself in this breathing. This is not where you need to feel pain to do better. It's just the opposite. You need to be kind. So now let's go to that next slide and let's practice some breathing. So in your normal breathing, I asked you to think about if you could feel the air coming through your nostrils. So let's get back there again. If your eyes are closed, that's fine. If they're not, that's fine. And just your normal breath. In through your nose and out through your nose this time. Is it cool? Maybe it's warm. Maybe it's slow. Or maybe it's fast. But it's yours and you own it. So that's your normal breath. Now you can open your eyes now if you'd like, if you had them closed, and let's work on two controlled breathing exercises. These are very simple exercises that you can do, and you can do them when you feel like you need to. I tend to move to these breathing exercises when I'm feeling stressed or when I have to calm myself intentionally, or sometimes when I can't sleep. And I do these practices and it helps me to get to sleep. You can train your body to respond to these breathing practices. So the first breathing practice is called Dirja breathing, or three-part breath. And what may help is if you put one hand on your tummy and one hand on your chest, so you can kind of feel where the breath is coming from. So when we do this breathing, we start breathing at our chest, and then it gets deeper and we breathe through our abdomen and our belly at the end. And then when we exhale from our belly first, then our abdomen, then our chest. So let's try that together. I know it's a lot to think about. Try to talk you through it. Start by breathing in, and you'll feel your chest expand. So breathe in, and now deeper if you can, and you'll feel your abdomen. And then a little deeper, and you may feel it in your belly. And then let's expand from the belly first. Think about this. And then through your abdomen, and then through your chest. And all the air is gone, right? Let's try it one more time. This one really does take some practice. Breathe in through your chest, abdomen, belly, exhale, belly, abdomen, chest. It's like you expand all the way and then you collapse all the way in the opposite order of the way you expanded. So I want you to try this sometime. Try it later. Try it 3 times, kind of get the hang of it and think about what you're doing. But once you've done this a few times, you don't have to think so much. You'll just think about how you're feeling this in your body. And another breathing activity, and this one is really very, very calming. It's a relaxation breathing. So what I want you to do is you just inhale gently through your nose. Do it with me. And then exhale through your mouth. Okay, don't be in a hurry. Let's try it again. Breathe in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Okay, take your time with that. So let's try it again. Inhale. Exhale. Now let's try it 2 times on your own, at your own pace. Breathe in through your nose. Exhale. One more time, your own pace. And exhale. Okay, hopefully you've exhaled by now. This is calming. You may feel that. If you practice this when you can't sleep, let's say, and you think, start with number 10 and then work back to 9 times, 8 times, and so on, you should be very calm and relaxed by the time you get to the number 1, the last time. So let's go to the next slide and think about this. How do you feel right now? We practiced breathing for just a few minutes. We sort of just barely started it, but it doesn't take much time for you to train your body to use that breathing to its advantage, to help you calm, to help you relax, help you refocus, maybe to give you more energy, or maybe to help you go to sleep, depending on what you need at the moment. So hopefully that has helped you to be calm and feel comfortable with your breathing and your breath, and thinking about how you're going to bring your breath, your body movements, and your mind all together. Okay, wow. Thank you. And we hope you enjoyed this presentation with us. I think we all learned a lot about how to help to beat those winter blues.